Hi, my name's Michael Roper. I'm from Architecture, and I'm going to present a project we submitted in the Victorian Architecture Awards this year in the Residential Alterations and Additions category, and it's called Park Life. So I'm just going to share my screen with you now. Okay. This highly contextual extension responds to the principles of the Garden City, integrating home, garden and streetscape. In doing so, it continues the vision for the area laid out by the Housing Commission in the 1940s. Curious neighbours slow their cars. From between the trees across a vast nature strip, a fence-like shed with a cyclops eye peers back at them. This street-side pavilion is an artist's studio. The window is her muse. Its timber wall, garden nestled, curves from the street. With it bends a path. If the gate is open, visitors, having glimpsed inside, may enter a somewhat private, somewhat inviting garden courtyard. Here, the studio provides protection from the street. Greenery softens the edges. Tall battened fencing conceals all but the neighbour's terracotta rooftop, and the street tree canopies crowd overhead. A moon of stone paving and a deep timber awning press into the side of the house, bending its glass wall inwards. A circular planter anchors it there. A continuous datum of studio, fence and awning register the height from which the rooftops of this estate spring. Dappled shade, pale green bagging, and the play of refracted light lend the threshold an aquatic atmosphere that carries into the house. Inside, space is amorphous. Each of the living areas is like a corner of the garden, loosely defined by tapering walls and pinched thresholds, expanding to accommodate a home's modest comforts. An enfilade of study, gallery, and dining tie the old house back to the new. The walls and the floors are solid and substantial. Everything else is light. I'll now take you through some of the key design drivers, beginning with the heritage streetscape. This area of Williamstown North was built in the 1940s by the Victorian Housing Commission on the principles of the Garden City. Houses are separated from the street by a 15-metre nature reserve and mostly have low or no front fences, contributing their front yards to the sense of a shared urban parkland. Our site, being on the corner, presents an interesting challenge as the backyard fronts Park Crescent. So how do we establish privacy for this yard while being open and generous to the heritage streetscape? As we found the property, seen here on the left, tall fences and shed structures were built to the street edge, undermining the continuity of the open streetscape. We took the approach of setting the studio and service yard back from the street, giving over some garden to the public realm. The artist studio mediates between streetscape and courtyard, establishing a clear threshold into the private realm of the property, while presenting a deep, gentle curve that welcomes guests and neighbours to venture in, or a cocktail party to spill out. At the entrance to the courtyard, you can make out the arc of the gate. A large timber batten gate allows this threshold to be closed down as required. What's old is new. So here we're standing in the extension looking back into the original house. You can see where we've retained an original window on the left, glazing it with mirror to provide a solid wall for the bathroom behind. Pale green bagging ties the old brick to the new. Here we can see there is a strong visual connection between the original house and the new living areas. Our clients are a middle-aged couple with no children. The house had some nice qualities, but there was a desire for more generous living areas and greater connection to the yard. Demolishing just 2 internal walls and building 1 new, we totally reconfigured the existing house, opening up a diagonal axis to connect it with the new extension. Though spaces in this house aren't huge, this axis is a moment of expansive generosity that ties it all together. Here we're looking along the axis, from the new to the old, and from the old to the new. At the quiet end is the study, at the livelier end, the dining. Between the two, the threshold swells to create a central gallery space where our clients, artist and curator, indulge their collections. pinch and tuck. With the limited space at hand, a balance needed to be struck between the size of the extension and the size of the remaining garden. Simply landing a rectangular extension on the back of the block would have robbed our clients of a generous outdoor area. Instead, space swells where needed and pinches where it isn't, with curved transitions to soften the thresholds. As Michael McLeod writes in the current edition of Houses magazine, it follows the rationale that a generous outlook is more effective in achieving a feeling of spaciousness than a few extra square meters inside. Modest living spaces benefit from their connection to one another while still feeling somewhat contained. This language of curves and thresholds carries out into the garden courtyard, concealing the service yard, forming the art studio, and defining the relationship with the street beyond, connected yet protected. Nature's own. So finally to our materials palette. Continuing the parkland theme, materials are earthy and tactile with subtle hues. Wooded trunks, green canopies, and protective grottos come to mind. Burnished concrete, pale green bagging, and timber lend their varied natural tones. The house and its garden feel grounded and encompassing, an extension of the streetscape and park life beyond. Thank you. Apologies for the reading. I did have a number of technical difficulties setting this up, so hopefully it's all worked out. And to finish, I'd just like to share with you a project that I was very pleased to see completed with such panache, and that is the refurbishment of the Capitol Theatre by 6 Degrees here in Melbourne. Such a wonderful theatre, and as a big cinema lover, I was very excited that Melbourne Cinematheque started screening films here before the COVID lockdown. Such a stunningly beautiful cinema ceiling and space, and 6 Degrees have done a wonderful job of restoring it. So keep up the good work, guys, and thank you.